Good morning and War Eagle. This morning I just wanted to hop on real quick and talk a little bit about SEC Media Days and also watch Brian Harsin's press conference because I have not seen any of it. I've seen some comments about it, but let me pull that off. I've actually not watched any of it myself, so if you have seen it, we can watch it together. We can comment on it, but I've not seen any of this press conference so far. So I'm about to pop this video up on the screen. And here we go. And if you join in, make sure you drop a War Eagle and say, hey. Sorry, if you hear anything, my dog is in the background.
Glad to be here. And finally, it has been a long week for me. A lot of good lucks, a lot of hope you do well. And let me just say that I've been in some pretty big games, and I'm not sure I had this many people text me, call me, see me on the street and wish me good luck before some event. So a credit to you all, and happy to be here. Got two players with me.
So I think part of that is just Auburn fans being Auburn fans. We're nice people all around, and we're going to wish you well. And so I'm glad he's getting that sense already.
Bo Nix, quarterback, and Owen Papo. And I just want to start off with talking about those two guys, the reason why they're here. We're going to have competition on our team at every position as we get into fall camp, and our guys know that. But those two players in particular have done a great job really since I've been there and we've had the staff assembled of helping lead our football team and really sharing the message of what we're trying to accomplish.
And I think those are two good choices. I mean, I think Bo Nix was an obvious choice, and the message this should send is that he is going to be the starter. So if anybody expected otherwise, I just don't see anybody starting above Bo Nix. It's going to happen.
Accomplished now with myself, our staff, and the things that we want to get done at Auburn University and with our football program. So I know they're going to do a great job today. They'll answer your questions. They've been leading and doing a tremendous job this summer. Both guys are hard workers, and they deserve the opportunity to be here to represent their team. We have a lot of players right now that are finishing up the summer workouts, and we'll get more into that. And then I've also done a great job. But these two in particular, I'm proud that they're here, and I'm looking forward to watching them, and you all have a chance to speak with them today and how they handle themselves. I'm proud to be here in the SEC. When you drive up here and it says it just means more, I really believe that.
It absolutely means more, and especially with that that news we're hearing about Texas and Oklahoma, whether that's true or not. The SEC may mean a whole lot more pretty soon.
And that was something from afar, being in the Mountain West and being at Boise State. And go back to this last season during COVID, when everyone was trying to figure out a way to play and how we were going to handle the situations with the pandemic. And the SEC kept forging ahead. I think that has to do with the leadership, the medical folks, and just the importance of football and how they treat their student athletes and what they want to accomplish in this league. And so as I sat back there as a coach at another program, I really felt that, the SEC's got it figured out. It does mean more. And so
and I just said this, but I think the SEC absolutely means more, and that's why we're going to see more people trying to jump on board with the SEC. And you're already seeing that some with, the news that we heard about Texas and Oklahoma. And so we'll see how that actually plays out. I'm not sure if that will happen, but we'll just have to see what happens.
I'm honored to be at Auburn University. I'm proud to be here in the SEC and to be a part of this conference and to represent our program. The most important thing to me is my family. And one of the things that I've learned over the last 7 months is just how awesome Auburn, the community, the university really is. And let me just say this. So my family, I've got two daughters, 21 and 19, Devin and Dane. I've got a son who's 15. That'll be at Auburn High School. And my wife, Kess, and I, all from Boise. And so we made this move. We came, a couple thousand miles away to come to Auburn. And as a football coach, when you come into the facility, you have 250 people at a place like this, and we're all charging towards one goal. We want to win championships. We want to get better every single day.
Does anybody else feel like he has this whole speech memorized? Love Harsin, but he's kind of robotic.
All the things you hear from every coach that's been up here and has talked. But the people and the most important people in your lives, how are they going to be taken care of? And I can say this, my family, the Auburn community, I can't thank them enough. My family loves it. My daughters, my son, they love living in Auburn. I've asked them and just said, hey, tell me what it's like. And they love it. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, we love it. If
you can, let me know if the audio is okay from my mic and also from the video, if you're on the stream right now.
Unbelievable. And so the community, the university, the people, my wife and I, we couldn't be more appreciative to be in a place like Auburn. And I want the people to know that, because for our coaches and their families and my family, in order for us to be elite at our jobs, we have to know the people that we care about most are taken care of and they live in a great place. And our families definitely are getting that right now from the Auburn community and the Auburn family. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Wes.
And very much appreciated.
Okay, does anyone know if he starts saying something? Because right now it sounds like he's repeating all the same stuff he's always said. I'm hoping he says something new pretty soon.
On my behalf and on the coach's behalf, our focus right now is really finishing up. Our guys are in their last couple weeks of workouts. So today they had a chance to get up early. They're in the upper decks of the stadium. They're running the stairs and they're getting after it. They're going to finish up tomorrow. We'll all be together for that. And then this next week, we'll kind of have our crescendo for our training, and the guys will get a few days off before we start fall camp August 5th. And we have our report day. And that's really the focus right now, is finishing up this summer, making sure that all the work that we put in to physically develop ourselves as a team, that continues and we finish at a high level, and that we take all that work and effort and strain and all those tough situations we had to thrive.
Okay, I'm glad they're working out. They're working hard, but I'm really hoping in this next 23 minutes we hear something new.
And we apply it to fall camp. And August 5th, we're going to have our team meeting. We'll be out on the practice field the next day. We'll have split practices for the first two, so we'll have young and old, so we can focus on some of the new players and some of the guys that we brought in. And then we're all together day 3. And we're rolling. And we're going to have a chance to get the coaches and the players all back together. And, one of the things that I was so proud of that we got a chance to do was have spring practice. Those 15 practices as a new staff, you can't put a value on that. To put in a new system, to get around the players, to have a new staff out there installing systems, getting face-to-face, working on drills and the fundamentals and the techniques that we all need to be successful at this game to play really good football. We had an opportunity to do that. And our doctors, Dr. Goodlett, our medical staff, they allowed us to make that happen. And, we've tested our guys. We've been through the COVID protocols for the last 5 months. We've had no positives. Our guys are taking it seriously. And
okay, this is one of those things I'm honestly curious about how it's going to affect the college football season in general. And that's not trying to get into medical stuff, but how this virus ramping back up, how it's going to affect play. I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I'm going to try not to give my opinion on this too much, but I do worry about, I saw did anybody see the quote from the NFL saying that they can see teams possibly forfeiting games due to quarantines and all that? So I'm a little concerned that could happen. We saw some of that happen last season in college football. So I do have some concerns about that with this upcoming football season.
And that's really important to me, because I know that they're sacrificing a lot to be out there and participating in the workouts and making sure that we have a chance to get started this August with our fall camp where everybody's available and ready to go out there and play. Part of, the protocols, I know there's been a lot of conversations about the vaccinations, where teams are at. Our Our medical staff, they have those answers a lot better than I do. I think we're in that 60% range right now at this point. We're educating our players. We're making sure that they understand, from our medical staff, the pros and cons. I mean, I think they've done a really good job of letting our guys make those individual decisions on what this means for our football team, what this means for this conference, what this means for
guys. We don't need the team getting quarantined.
In the future. And, that's one of the things that
be
we
cool.
do. We're all teachers at this level. All right. We're college football coaches, but we teach. And we've got to give our players the information and educate them on, all right, here's what.
Which team was it in the SEC that the coach recently said? I think Harsin just said 60%, but I swear there's one team that's like 85, 95% vaccinated. Maybe it was Georgia. I think Kirby Smart said it. If that's the case, they're not going to have to worry about the quarantine stuff as much.
What you need to know and let them make decisions. And for a lot of them, all right, this is deeply personal, and I respect that. I respect that with our staff. I respect that for myself, our players, and understand that. And so our goal is to educate and give them information and then let our players make that decision. And they understand the 85%. They've got a chance to hear and see and read all about those things. And I believe in our players. I believe in our medical staff. And I believe in the way that we've educated our players to make the right decisions and understand and respect their decisions and know that it's personal. As far as NIL, man.
Oh, man, NIL. All right, so before he gets into this, I don't know if he's going to say this out loud or not, because I told you I've actually not watched this yet. I've seen some clips and quotes of people making comments about what Harsin said, but I honestly am watching this for the first time. Drop your opinions on NIL in general, but more specifically, what do you think about Bryce Young on Alabama making over $1 million in NIL? And he has not even started a game yet. He's not played one first down as a starter. So what are your thoughts on him already locking down $1 million when he has not even started a game? Love to hear what you think.
And there is a lot to learn on this name, image, and likeness. And there's been a lot of questions about it. Not many coaches can answer, what does this mean? And you can go through the obvious, right? What does that mean when the star player is making more than the guys that are actually doing the work in front of them? What's that going to look like? I think it comes back to your team. I think it comes back to the guys that are in that locker room, how they treat each other, and just know that there's not going to be the same deals for everybody on the football team. How do you explain that and show that? Well, there's going to be examples that we're going to be given that we're going to have a chance to use over time to show our players, hey, this is how they handled it. This is how they handled it. Here's how we can handle it. And so you're just going to need some more information, in my opinion, to make calculated and educated guesses on.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, like, the NIL stuff right now is the wild, wild west. I don't think anybody knows what they're doing. I've actually talked to some players and player parents and managers about doing some possible NIL sponsorship kind of stuff. And it's really interesting how different some of the players are handling it. It is absolutely the Wild West. I mean, I could easily I've had multiple opportunities to advertise with players and do some sponsorship deals. I've just not actually done it yet. I've got one or two that I was actually interested in the offer that we were able to agree on. I just haven't actually gone through with it yet because I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it to me. And I was more going through that process to see, one, how it worked, but two, so I would have some information. So if I do want to do this, I know what I'm getting into. And so it's just crazy right now. It's, like I said, it's very interesting, but at the same time, I don't know if it's going to be worth it to drop that kind of money when there's really no guarantee on what the return's going to be. But I'm interested to hear what you think about that. And let's keep on going.
Where we think this thing is going. The one thing about it, football right now, it's at this level especially, and if you want to be an elite player, all right, one of the things it takes is tremendous focus and time. tremendous focus and time. And so, guys that are going to utilize this NIL, and I think it's an awesome opportunity for guys to make some money, to be able to do some things from a business standpoint and really learn that lesson along the way. And also, as we explained in our first meeting when we talked about it, all right, to understand taxes, because not anybody in there really knew that. They're taking their amount of money.
Well, that was my first thought is, do these guys understand what they're getting into with the tax situation? Have they watched, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, have they watched that ESPN 30 for 30 broke how many of these guys in the NFL and in pro sports get the money, but then they lose it all? That's the kind of stuff I worry about for them, is are they going to get all this money and go broke before they ever actually get to use it? Old man, I think that it should have a cap on it. I'm interested in how you think that would actually work, how you would cap it, what you would cap it at, and how would that work when the companies are actually trying to pay the individual for an amount of money and not a group of players. So I'm interested in hearing more about that. Let's keep going.
Money, dividing it by 12, and you're like, hold on a second, there are taxes. They're like, what's that? All right, so we explained that
taxes,
to them. So,
what's going to get you in trouble, kids.
To educate them on real life things. But the one thing, as a coach, you want to surround your players with fantastic people and the best people that you have in your program and on your coaching staff. And we've just opened this up. Now there's going to be more people in our players' lives, and we have to understand that. We have to educate our players, and we also have to understand, that our relationship with our guys, our environment we create every single day has got to be strong, because there's going to be a lot of influencers, all right? Not just our players, but people that are going to be involved with our players' lives now.
Okay, look, you thought we had trouble with boosters before. Now we kind of have a legal way to do this. We can have a booster go, hey, why don't you come over to my car dealership and do a little commercial for me? Here's 10 grand for doing that commercial. You can legally do it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm glad the players can make some money, but I think it does open up the door for some pretty shady business. And I think somebody else has said this, but I do worry about the guys. Harsin actually just said this. I do worry about the guys who are not your star players, who are not going to have that same opportunity to get that kind of money. I would love to see, is there an offensive lineman anywhere in the country who's gotten the same kind of deal as Bryce Young or anything close to it? Half of it, a fourth of it? I highly doubt it, because they don't have that star power that your quarterback is going to have.
And you still have to get up and be on time for your workout. You still have to follow the nutrition plan. You still have to make sure that you're where you need to be for class. You still have to show up on time for practice in that meeting room with your notebook and your pen and ready to take notes and be a student of the game. And at the end of practice, the recovery time that you have and all the things you're asked to do in order to be an elite football player and a great student athlete, that takes time. And so I think one thing that, players are all going to have to really work through themselves is, how much time do I have to devote to these things and still be elite in the areas that are most important to me? Don't know the answer to that yet. Don't know what that's.
And I think that's something that players are going to have to figure out. I can't imagine being, an 18, 19, 20-year-old and having that much money thrown at me. I know I probably would have had a hard time with that, just balancing everything, because it's going to be tough as a player when you see, if I do this stuff over here, I can get paid today. I can get money today. That's going to be tough. And you've got to balance your responsibilities with the team and your responsibilities with these sponsorships and these brand deals. And so I really hope that these players have good mentors and good people working with them for the university, which I think they will at Auburn through the Spirit program. But time's going to tell, and it's going to affect these players in different ways. But I do have some concerns about that, and I think we will see some guys who get too wrapped up in their personal brand, and they're not as focused on the game like they should be. There was even I thought I had this written down, but there was even a player who said he's opting out of all NIL stuff. I think he was at Georgia. He's not getting involved in any name and likeness stuff because he wants to make sure he is focused on the game. And so we'll just have to see how that actually pans out.
That's going to look like right now. But, as coaches in this NIL, I mean, it's different everywhere you go. Some places you can help, some places you can't. But at the end of the day, you sit in those players' homes with their families, and they look to you to take care of their sons. And so when something doesn't go right, we're going to be involved because players are going to come to us for advice. Yep. And that's just another area that as coaches, we have to grow and develop ourselves to really have those kind of conversations. I mean, you don't want to, certainly on a Wednesday of a game week, but it's going to happen. And you're going to have to be prepared for it. And so that's another layer for our coaching staff and people in our program.
Hey, I just swapped the audio. Let me know if it messed up on you guys.
Third downs, yeah. But you know what? We also got a situation, all right, when one of our players are dealing with somebody that we have no control over. So, those are the things that are coming down the road that we have to continue to stay focused on.
Be a lot of money at one time.
Those are things that we're aware of. But ultimately, for us right now, as we get into practice, we got 25. We're getting ready for September 4th against Akron. That is the focus at Auburn. I know the other games that we play. I know the other teams on the schedule, but you got to win the first one. You got to go out there and put on the field your very best performance so we can evaluate that and learn from it. And so that is our number one focus. And for me, the things I'm most excited about.
Now, what's interesting is, do you think we're going to see any players kind of turn into divas? And here's what I mean by that. I think you guys know what I mean, but do you think we're going to see any players who, because they become like an influencer, they start getting all this money, they think they're better than the coaches and they don't have to listen to the coaches? I don't think we'll see it too much. But when we've got kids making, in some places they could be making more money than the coaches. Not at Auburn, but I could see that potentially being an issue. And those are the kind of stories I'm going to be interested in as we get more into this new world of college football where players are making money. It's going to be really interesting to see how some of these players react when they could be making more money than some of the coaches, especially at some of these smaller schools. If you get a kid who's already built a name for themselves, they've built a brand for themselves, and then they go to a small school, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. Let's keep going.
All right, I'm excited about Tiger Walk. I want to walk from South Donahue all the way down into Jordan-Hare Stadium. And I want to see all those people yelling War Eagle. I want to be in that stadium with 90,000 people going crazy because I've heard nothing but how the environment is. And I got a chance to experience that in a bad way when I was at Arkansas State. So I've got a little taste of that. And now, those folks are going to be on our side. And then I want to be able to be a part of a program that when you win, all right, your fans go crazy and go downtown and we toilet paper trees. I mean, how awesome is that? I've never been a part of that. I've been a part of great programs and I've been around great people, but you have all these things. And, for me,
the traditions, that's part of what makes Auburn Auburn. And that's why I love going to a game. I'm hoping I make it to one or two this year. We'll just have to see. Wes Cooley, the players should have to pay fines for missing practice or those similar to the NFL. And I imagine there will be some kind of penalties. I don't know if that's going to be a financial penalty because it would affect players differently depending on how much money they make. Because if you have somebody like Bo Nix and his Milo's Tea sponsorship deals and another player who does not have any, would you find those two players the same way? I don't know if that's going to be an actual possibility, but I do see there being some kind of penalty if you choose to go do a commercial and you miss practice. I could see that being a problem. I think most of the players are being coached up on knowing that they have to fulfill their responsibilities as a player first, but I know we're going to have some people mess up with this. And so, like you said, that is something to be concerned about, and coaches are going to have to figure out how to navigate that.
I'm looking forward to that. That's why you come to Auburn. That's why you're in the SEC, because it does mean more. All right. And opportunities like that, it's not like that at other places. And so my family, myself, our coaching staff, we're all excited to be here. We're all proud to represent Auburn University. We love where we live. We love the people in our community.
All right, Harsin, we'll keep going in a second, but I want to address this comment from Old Man. All right, so you said, do the players sign a contract for the NIL? Do they have to do promotional stuff like commercials? They don't have to do anything. It's really up to them what they choose to do. So I told you I've actually looked into doing some of this. And from what I found out, talking to some of the players and some of their agents, managers, whoever's helping them navigate some of this stuff, all I had to do was I wrote up a contract myself. I had to send it to them. They then had to, we had to agree upon the terms between us. So for example, let's say I wanted to do a social media post. If I wanted to do that, I would tell the agent, the manager, the player, whoever's taking the correspondence, I would tell them, I want you to do an Instagram post linking to my channel. And in that, I want it to look like this. You give them the terms, tell them exactly what you want. And then you would say, and here's how much I want to pay you to do this one post. And they would, if they agreed upon that. So if we agree, we'll say he, because they're all guys on the team. But if he agrees to do the post the way I want it, leave it up for however long we agree on, and we agree to those terms, they then take that to the compliance board. So the compliance board at Auburn, and I guess each school has a compliance board, and I think this would be the Spirit program at Auburn. And once they take that information, they take it to the compliance board. The compliance board says, yes, you're good to go, or no, you're not. You can't do it this way. But once they get cleared by compliance, then they can go ahead and fulfill the contract. But yes, there is a contract that has to be signed, and really the terms just depend on what is agreed upon between the person paying and the person fulfilling the request. So just in case you wanted to know, I think that's pretty interesting. Let's go back to Harsin's press conference.
We love the staff we put together, and we're looking forward to getting our players back together and really working every single day on just playing good football every day and being consistent. And if we can do that, we can be that 1-0 type team every single day. Then come Saturday, September 4th, when we go play, we all should have a chance to see that. So, and again, I want to thank you all for being here this entire week. And, I've got a chance to see some of the questions and conversations, and some of the other coaches come up here and talk about their programs. Different for me, no different for me. I want to thank you. I know that the coverage of this sport, the coverage of this conference, it does matter. And coming from another conference not too long ago, we all pay attention to it. So, we'll do a great job with it today. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Well, finally.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic. Victoria, Lawrence, and Fuller have microphones. And so we will start over on our left-hand side alongside the wall. Mike?
Hey, Coach. Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. You followed Gus Malzahn twice now, I think, at Arkansas State and now at Auburn. Yeah. Do you guys have any sort of relationship? Do you know him? And also, do you have a good grasp of the pressure cooker you're walking into at Auburn?
We do have let me go back here. Yes, I know Gus. We have a relationship to a degree. And I'll start back in 2007. Gus was at Tulsa, and I was the offensive coordinator. And I read his book, his book that he wrote in high school about tempo. And there was a lot of great things in there. And he's a great offensive mind. And so I wanted to go see him. So Chris Peterson and I, and our offensive line coach at the time, we went to Tulsa, and we got a chance to sit down for a couple of days and just talk football, talk about tempo, talk about how he does things. And so we took a lot away from that. And that spring, we installed some of that no huddle and some of those ideas. And so I've always admired Gus. I've always thought he's a great offensive mind. And then it just happens to be, right, when he leaves Arkansas State.
I've heard he throws some shade at Gus. Is this where it happens? If so, I can't wait.
Hey, here I come. And then he's going on to Auburn. And there was coaches on that staff, one that was here, Eli Drinkwitz, was one of them. That was a part of that transition that I kept and stayed on my staff during that time. And then, when this came up, so, we had just, in Boise, we were good. We had just built a home and this is where we wanted to be. And our mindset was, this is what we want to, this is where we want to be, where we want to stay, and this is what we're going to do. And when Alan Green called me and said, hey, I'd known Alan previous, he told the story about, our time we met in the pool and it was all innocent and everything. So,
it's the weirdest way they tell that story.
And he was at Auburn. And right then and there, man, it piqued my interest more than any other place. And a lot because of him, a lot because of the creed, a lot because of just, this conference as well. And, the obvious is, Gus Malzahn is there. And that's one of the.
Does anybody else think that pool story that Alan Green always tells and the way Harsin tells it is just strange? May just be me.
Things that just personally you're like, okay, this would be, me following him again. And, right now, no. Do we have a relationship right now? Do we talk every day? No, we don't. I know where he's at UCF. Terry Mahajer was the athletic director that hired me at Arkansas State. So we have this weird web of connection. All right. Coach Malzahn and I do. And I got a lot of respect for him. And then, of all teams they play in the beginning, it's Boise State on a Thursday. So the coaches that know of Boise State, they're like, we've seen a lot of Auburn. And so there's just, it doesn't really go away at this point. But, I wish him the best. And, as far as what you're getting into, here's what I think.
Yeah, no clue, Harsin.
For me as a coach and as a competitor, everything I do
into a lot.
I want to win. And so, the preparation and all the things that go into that, it doesn't matter if I'm at Capitol High School or I'm at Auburn and coaching the football team there. I mean, it all matters. And so the importance of it, all right, what surrounds it is definitely different. Definitely different. All right. There's a lot more attention that goes into being the head coach at Auburn University. As far as the importance of, my job and how I view it, I've always felt like, I've tried to prepare and find ways to win. And every little thing is, has mattered, to me. And I've tried to work that way and try to develop myself that way. So, what we did today in our workouts, it matters. What we do tomorrow and so on. And I'm going to continue that. I know that, the microscope is a lot different, at Auburn, but that was part of it too, as a competitor. And I said this, this is why you come to Auburn. This is why you want to be in the SEC. You want to play against the best. You've got the best talent. All right. Not just in.
I honestly love how I get no sense of nervousness or anything from Harsin. He really does have that Saban ishness to him, where he's real stoic, he's real serious, and I honestly think that is something we have desperately needed at Auburn. You guys know how it was under Gus, and so I think Harsin is going to be a breath of fresh air. We'll see how he does season one. I've got some reservations. I think we're going to improve. I just don't know how much that is going to be. I know there's some people who are very optimistic about this season. I'm not quite as optimistic. I think we're going to do well, but the biggest question mark for me is how is Bo Nix going to do? And if he has a great season, the whole team, we're going to have an amazing season. So that's kind of the factor for me is what does Bo do? Let's keep going.
Football, but in any sport in the SEC, the best athletes in the world come to the SEC. You've got LPGA, you've got NBA players, you've got Olympians, you've got NFL players, you got the best coaches that are in the SEC. And so if you want to be a part of that, understand what you're getting into, all right, and the level that all those coaches take each and every day and every one of those players. So do I understand that? Yes. Do you work every single day to be in that elite group? Yes. And the weirdness, of Gus and Brian Harsin, I can't explain that. I'm not sure if there'll be another one, but I think we're the only two that have probably done that ever.
Coach, we'll go down here to the front left. Bob?
Hey, Brian. Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. How you doing?
Good, Bob.
Hey, I had kind of a two-parter here. What do you remember about that game when you were at ASU and went to Auburn?
Does that mean that Brian Harsin is the next coach at UCF? Maybe.
You remember thinking, "Wow, this would be a great place to be." Did you ever imagine you'd be back as the coach? And you're from Boise at your alma mater. You guys won like 800% or 800 winning percentage. Was it hard to leave even for a job as good as Auburn?
Well, here's what let me tell you the story about that game. All right, going into the Auburn game. So the players, when I was at Arkansas State, Coach Malzahn and the staff had gray uniforms. They never got to wear them. So in that game, I thought, you know what? This is going to be our opportunity here. We're going to wear our gray uniforms in this game. Kind of had it all clear with Coach Malzahn because you'll get a penalty for that. It was all going to be good. There was going to be no issues with it. And then he changed his mind and took the two 15-yard penalties each half right there. So put us behind in that game.
Oh, Gus did him dirty. Did anybody hear what he said he would do or what he did? So he said that they had an agreement. Gus went back on the agreement. He agreed to let them wear the gray uniforms. He went back on it so that he could get those two 15-yard penalties applied at the beginning of the first half and second half. I believe it.
Game, we actually played well offensively. We had some really good players in that game, but I remember going into that environment and, as you look up in the stands, you can't hear a thing. All right. It's shaking on the field and you're trying to get a play out to your quarterback. It was difficult. And, I thought our guys did play well in that game. And, as far as leaving a program like Boise State, I'm an alum. I have a lot of pride in that program. I bleed blue, always will. That's where I played, and I spent a lot of time, and I cut my teeth as a coach. And I worked for unbelievable people. It started with Dirk Cutter. And I had Dirk Cutter and I had Mark Helfrich my last two seasons as a player. Dirk Cutter, great coach on his own. Mark Helfrich was the head coach at Oregon. And so I had two tremendous coaches that taught me the game, which really gave me the love for football because I understood it better. And then I had Dan Hawkins, who I work with. And Dan gave me my first opportunity at 24 years old to be the tight ends coach. Chris Peterson took over. Dan was a guy that was all about building culture and that connection with players. And Chris Peterson took over.
Old is
and
Brian Harsin? Chris
is about process and details and one of the most phenomenal coaches I've ever been around in my entire life. And so a lot of things that I take with me every single day into our program comes from what I learned at Boise State. And I got a chance to work with Mack Brown at Texas. Mack Brown is maybe the best human being really in the world. And I got a chance to be around him and watch how he treats people and the way he does things and to watch his every day. And I was one of the coaches that was not afraid to walk in his office and just have a conversation with him and ask him how he's doing.
Okay, what he said right there where he's not afraid. So when he was at Texas, he was one of the few guys that was not afraid to go into Mack Brown's office and have a conversation with him. That's the type of stuff I love about Brian Harsin. He does not appear to be afraid. He's going to do what he needs to do to get the job done. And I think that's what we need at Auburn, someone who is not afraid. They're going to hold the players accountable. They're going to hold the coaches accountable and ultimately build an environment at Auburn and with the football team that's going to turn into a winning culture that we've not really seen in a long time.
I've had a lot of great experiences. It's hard to leave those things, and that's part of the progression. And like I told you before, being at Boise State is special, but this was different. And there's been other opportunities, but not like this. And it's the leadership at Auburn. It's now what I've learned, even more so the community at Auburn and the chance to be in the SEC and to play against the very best. And when you do, and you do it at a high level, you have a chance to be the very best as well. And that really, as a competitor, was a big draw for me. And in the last 7 months, I didn't know how this whole thing would go. Better than expected. We haven't played a game, but I'm proud to be at Auburn.
Coach will go over the right section alongside the right-hand wall.
Lance Dahl with the Auburn Network. Coach, you talked in your opening statement about the Auburn family and the community and how important it is to everybody in Auburn. But talk about the culture for a second. Talk about how important that is and what type of culture you're bringing to Auburn and what this coaching staff is bringing to Auburn. Is it any different?
And like I said, this is what I think was needed the most, a change in our culture at Auburn. I don't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes with Gus, but it was very evident that our culture had taken a hit. And so I'm interested in how Harsin is going to change that. And so, like I said, I've not seen this video yet, so let's see what Coach Harsin says.
Than what Auburn has seen in the past?
Well, I think let me just say this and let me back up. Auburn's had a lot of success in the past. They've had a lot of great coaches. They've had a lot of great people come through their program. And, I've been fortunate enough to get a chance to talk with some of that. We had Sammy Coates, Trevon Reed. I've met Bo Jackson. I've got a chance to be around a lot of different players that have come through Auburn. And so, we're building a new facility, right? And we had one that was there a long time, but there's a lot of great players. Cam Newton, Heisman Trophy.
And guys, if you've not seen anything on that new facility, go check it out. I did a video on it if you want to see the walkthrough, but there's plenty of them out there if you don't want to watch mine. But if you've not seen it, that new facility is going to be awesome, and it's going to help draw recruits to Auburn.
Trophy winners and so on that came through that program. And so, is it different every staff? Absolutely. All right. The one thing for us, as we come in right now, we have to do a great job of connecting with our players. We got to get to know them. And through COVID, that didn't help, right? Being able to know their families and being out there on the road and getting face to face. We had to do it via Zoom and other ways and be very creative. But connecting with our players and letting them know, number one, we're here for you. Number two, here are the expectations. Well, what are the expectations from you? Simple, your personal best. Simple. Show up, care, and repeat every single day. And you know how we're going to do that? You're going to do it to the very best of your ability every single day. That's the standard. All right. How do we do that? Discipline.
I love how simple Harsin is. He's very simple in his expectations. When you have clear expectations like that and you're very simple and direct, it's easy for everyone to understand what they need to do, what their job is. And I think that's something he's going to do very well while he's at Auburn, is communicating to his players, to his coaches. This is what we've got to do it. We're focused on today. Get your job done today and do it every single day. So very simple, very clear, and that's going to pay dividends going forward this year and into the future.
All right. Understand what discipline is. Not disciplining, not punishment. What is discipline? All right. Self-regulation. All right. You got to be able to get up and do things over and over and over to build those habits to be successful. Understand that. You want to be great? Here's what it takes. All right. What comes with discipline? Toughness. Right? If you're going to do that consistently and in this game, you better be tough physically and mentally. All right. You better be able to perform at your very best when the circumstances are against you. I don't want you to survive. I want you to thrive in situations where things get really difficult and tough for you. And then the last one is conviction. I want you to believe. And number one, in yourself. Like, you better believe you can win. You better believe you can hit that weight. You better believe you can make those 300s. You better believe you can run those decks. When you wake up, I want you believing in yourself, and I want you believing in what we're doing. And so when we go out there and play on September 4th, I want our fans and everybody that watches and tunes into our game, I want them to see a disciplined team, a tough team, and a team that believes they can win every time they step on the field and every single practice. So, is that different from what the previous staff had? I have no idea. I didn't dive into, what their core values were. I got a chance, what I did when I took the job is I wanted to see it. I wanted to witness.
I feel like he's getting close to throwing some shade at Gus.
What this team was
Pretty
about.
close.
I wanted to see why guys show up late. I wanted to see why guys didn't finish.
So hold on. Is he saying that guys did show up late under Gus? He said, I want to see why guys show up late. Is he accusing Gus of creating a culture where guys just showed up late and didn't do what they need to do? Woo.
I wanted to see those things for myself with my own eyes and make my own determinations. Maybe they don't know, or maybe they don't care. Either way, that was a problem. So we've had to change that. You want to win, you want to be consistent, you want to be one of those teams that every single year, all right, you're in the hunt for an opportunity to play and win a championship. All right, well, you better bring your personal best every single day. You better.
So basically, if anybody missed that, he is straight up accusing Gus of creating a culture where guys showed up late and that was okay and that was acceptable. And he was trying to figure out why it happened and he's going to fix it, which good for him. If that was the case and that's the culture that Gus had created, or that's what was going on at Auburn, good, fix it. That's going to help us going forward.
Be disciplined. You better be tough. And you better have conviction for what it is you're doing. And, that's been my message with our guys. And then we've simplified that more. We've talked about character, and we simplified it down to just being 1-0. And there's things that come with that, but hey, focus on the task at hand, the moments that you're in, because there's a lot of distractions, and let's just go 1-0. And simplifying that every single day, when you can win that day and you stack those days together, then come Saturdays, what do? Exactly what you want. You cut it loose. I've won Sunday through Friday. So what am I going to do on Saturday? I'm going to win. And that's what everybody wants. So, all right, you don't do that unless you know deep down inside you've done everything you can all those days to have yourself ready to go out there and play that way. And if you're out there thinking and playing and going like, damn, should I have done more? That's not going to win games in this conference. So your personal best every single day, that's the expectation. We have a plan for you and a blueprint that we've shared with our guys. And then the discipline, toughness, and conviction every single day are the things that we've talked about in our program. And that's who we are. That's who we'll always be. And those are the things that we strive for daily.
All right, good.
And Wes, I 100% agree with you. He is getting I mentioned earlier that that whole first half where he was not taking questions, he was just talking. He sounded very robotic, but he actually does sound a whole lot more comfortable on the mic right now. And if I'm being honest, this is a whole lot more enjoyable to listen to. And I think he is more in his element when he's answering these questions.
Coach Harsin, thank you for your time this morning.
All right. Thank you, War Eagle.
Alabama has a
Okay, so that's all of his press conference. So like I said, this was my first time watching that. I don't think he said a whole lot, to be honest, that he's not said already. He's going to have high expectations for his team. They're going to work hard. They're going to be disciplined. We've kind of heard all that, so I don't think we heard a whole lot of new stuff. The new things that we did hear was really talking about what's happened in the past. I mentioned how he's kind of mentioning what the players were doing when he got there and how it had to change. He mentioned players showing up late. They're not disciplined. They're not doing what they need to do. And that's a culture that existed that he was trying to find out, why is this the case? Why is this the way we do things currently at Auburn? And how do we fix it? So I'm glad he did identify those needs. He did identify those problems, and he is working on a plan to fix it. That's really all I have today. So guys, thank you for watching and tuning in. I'm probably another time going to go through those two videos. I think you probably saw them queued up for me. The Bo Nix, sorry, I'm trying to look past my mic. The Bo Nix video, because I've not seen his, and the Owen Papo. So I'll try to put something up and let you know when I'm going to go through those live. If you want to watch those with me, that may be later tonight. It could be tomorrow, but I'll try to post something on my channel to give you a heads up about when that's going to happen. Thank you again for watching. I don't do a whole lot of live streams, but I do enjoy them when I do them. I know it's a little different than what other people do, but I have fun with this, and I appreciate you watching with me. If you're not a subscriber to the channel already, please go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and share it if you enjoyed it. Until next time, War Eagle.